When my mother was around 12 years old, she was readying to leave class one day at her Catholic grammar school for girls, putting on her secondhand purple winter wool coat with big Paddington-like buttons. She swung the coat's arm around and knocked a statue of a veiled Mary, the Blessed Virgin, onto the ground. Mary shattered, and the nuns shuddered. The nuns told my mother they were not upset, but my mother was mortified that the nuns also asked the girls to contribute any funds they could spare to purchase a new statue. The girls gave, and together with the nuns, scrounged together enough for a new Mary. The new Mary was modern, unveiled, loose hair, in a flowy dress, holding baby Jesus. This is not a religious story. I tell this story because it was one I was lucky enough to hear from my mother, who is now 83 years old. Listen to your mother. My mother's name is Barbara. Her mother also was named Barbara, but didn't like the name, so she went by Mary. Growing up, we didn't hear too many stories from my mother. She was busy. My mother named her first girl, my older sister, Mary. Mary was born a year after Michael, and he was born a year after James. My mother almost had a nervous breakdown after birthing 3 children in a row. She didn't get pregnant again for 4 years when she birthed Peter, and 3 years later, me. When I was in kindergarten, my mother revealed that she was pregnant to us days before she miscarried, walking me home from the school bus stop. She was hunched over, holding on to our station wagon that she had just learned to drive at the end of the driveway. I remember her later calling it a blessing. I have few memories of my mother sitting still. She was always cleaning, cooking, cleaning some more. Cleanliness is next to godliness. The sound of the vacuum as familiar as church hymns. When she did sit, she'd always be in her chair at the head of the kitchen table. Both in the morning and at night as ritual, she would sit with her hands around a cup of coffee or wine, depending on the time of day. In the morning, she would sit silently and listen to NPR. At night, she would sit silently and read a book, always novels, because she used them to escape real life. My mother believed in privacy. She'd stare straight ahead, lost in whatever she was thinking, almost as if she'd left her body vacant. I remember as a child trying to pry into the vacancy. It felt so comfortable just sitting with her and enjoying the quietness around her, the way so many children seem to love to do with their mothers, without understanding how we disturb that quietness with our very presence. The quiet spoke. Listen to your mother. When I was 16, I spent a year abroad as an exchange student. I learned the most from my mother that year because she would type me a weekly letter, date on top. She wrote that my brother got engaged, that she went to JCPenney and there was a good sale, that her dog Candy continued to pee on the carpet. Once, I remember she wrote that if she knew how much she'd miss me, she might not have let me go. She signed Mom onto her typed love at the end of each letter. Her first M separate from the O and second M, linked together in an ohm. My mother had a corner ledge at the back of her closet behind her hanging clothes that my brother and I had discovered she used to hide our Christmas gifts. Once, I found a composition notebook there, black and white marble, the name Barbara written under the words, "This book belongs to." I always kept a journal, and when I thought that maybe my mother too was writing down her inner thoughts, I opened it. But inside were only prayers, scrawled in my mother's half-script, half-print writing, small, filling only the space between the blue lines. I wanted to find my mother, but instead, all I found was a mother praying to Jesus' mother, asking for help. After I had my own children in my 30s, I often wondered whether all mothers are always just looking for help. My mother is on her own now. She has osteoporosis, spinal stenosis, and degenerative disc disease. She used to be my height, but now I stand half a foot taller. She looks like she is always praying. She is in pain. Yet, despite this pain, she irons her clothes to perfection. On Saturdays, she presses her khaki pants along with a white blouse that she wears under a sweater vest for Sunday Mass. We go to Mass together. One Sunday, the priest tells us that if we just say 2 Hail Mary prayers a day, miracles will happen. I do. I pray that Mary will remember how my mother saved her and that Mary will now have my mother's back. Listen to my mother.